One of the most challenging parts of out of the park baseball is managing your pitching through the 2 or 3 years, if you're lucky, that your team is in a rebuilding phase. So, say you've got a starting rotation and they're all hurt or all not throwing strikes, you're loading up a bunch of guys on the bases and you're just losing games. And even though you're in a rebuilding phase, you really don't want to end up like the 2024 White Sox every single year. The way I play out of the park baseball, even when I am in the depths of a rebuild, I'm never counting on getting the number one overall pick. That's just kind of like basing your yearly budget on winning the lottery every single year. It's just not going to work. And so I found 7 pitchers who can help your team go through that rebuilding phase while throwing strikes, being cost controlled, as well as staying healthy, because those are the 3 things that are the most valuable to your team while you're in a rebuilding phase and out of the park baseball, because you don't want to have to worry about starting pitching all the time, because you are going to rush prospects. You're going to put players above the level that they're ready for, and that's going to ultimately do more harm than good. So say you've got a starting pitcher that you drafted in the first round, and you've carefully manicured their development from rookie ball through A ball all the way up to high A, and then all of a sudden your starting pitching just gets wiped out, and you have to promote most of your AAA starting pitching up to the major league level. All of a sudden that pitcher gets affected because they might have to move up to AA to fill the roster, and they might not be ready for AA hitting yet. They might not be ready for those batters, and that might hinder their development more than it helps. So it really is critical to use starting pitchers in that rebuilding phase that are going to stay healthy, because that is going to make your prospect development so much easier. So, out of the guys on our innings eater list, the most productive at the major league level right now and the most ready to roll into an MLB starting job is Matt Waldron of the San Diego Padres. So, Matt Waldron is a very productive pitcher. The game does not give him a super high overall rating because I don't think the game knows how to make sense of a knuckleballer. But in real life, Matt Waldron was super productive in 2024. He's going to be a critical part of what the San Diego Padres are trying to do in 2025. And so Matt Waldron is going to be a very inexpensive guy to get. I did simulate some trades with the Miami Marlins to get Matt Waldron, and the prospect capital and the major league capital that they wanted was pretty reasonable. You only had to give up like a 45 potential guy for Matt Waldron, who's already producing at the major league level. So Matt Waldron does make sense if you want a cost-controlled big league pitcher who's already producing. Matt Waldron is team controlled for I think the next 4 years on his arbitration and pre-arbitration contracts. So Matt Waldron makes a ton of sense. Our second tier of guys that can help out your rebuild and kind of bridge those innings are Noah Syndergaard and Madison Bumgarner. And so Madison Bumgarner, for all intents and purposes, is out of baseball, and Noah Syndergaard is still looking for a job right now. But these are 2 guys that are still in the game and still have pretty decent ratings. So Noah Syndergaard and Madison Bumgarner right now are on the free market in the base game. So once you load it up, no one has signed Mad Bum and no one has signed Thor yet. So you can sign those 2 guys and they can add to your rotation. Neither of them have a fragile designation for their injuries, and the types of regression that we saw in their game, it's not that far off from a semi-productive major league pitcher. So if you just want to throw the ball to Bum and you want to throw the ball to Noah Syndergaard and just say, hey, throw 175 innings and just get us through, you can do that. They're established major leaguers. They aren't clubhouse guys with their personality ratings. So if anything, they'll add a veteran presence to a team. Our third tier of pitchers that can help bridge a rebuild are 2 pitchers who have never really reached the majors, haven't spent any significant time there. One of them is in the Philly system, Koyo Ayagi, and then the other one is a free agent, Ronald Herrera. Herrera being 29 years old and Ayagami being 31 years old. These are 2 solid pitchers, both very injury proof. They haven't spent a lot of time on the IL. They've pitched a lot of innings, and they're both kind of in that 42, 43 on a 20 to 80 scale. They're very, very helpful in terms of stacking your depth. These are guys that, due to their contract structure, they could be on the major league roster or they could be in the minor leagues, and you won't really have to do a whole lot of shuffling And these are guys that have proved they can be at least valuable or kind of a quad A player. So, if you're needing a fourth or fifth starter for your rebuilding team, then either of these two might be pretty decent options because they're cost controlled, they're going to stay healthy, and they're going to throw strikes. And that's ultimately what we're looking for in this stage of our rebuild. Last but certainly not least, in pitchers that can help bridge a rebuild are younger minor league guys whose potential has kind of plateaued. They're at AAA, but they're still young and they still have a chance to be very valuable in the majors. And the two guys I found were Anohan Paniagua of the St. Louis Cardinals system, and then Thomas Harrington of the Pittsburgh Pirates system. Harrington's 23, Paniagua is 25. They both have a lot of baseball to play, and they both have pretty decent ratings. Harrington's potential tops out at 45. Paniagua's tops out at 50. That's a pretty solid pitcher on a rebuilding team. So what you can do is you can get those guys in. You can give them as many innings out of the bullpen or in the starting rotation as you need. These are guys that are going to stay healthy. They're financially cost controlled. They're going to throw strikes and they're going to stay healthy. It's something that I'm repeating over and over again because that's ultimately what you want no matter how you get that value. So these two are probably the most interesting because they still have a lot of runway to go in terms of becoming solid Major League Baseball players because they could end up being really, really good. And they're going to be guys that will stay cost controlled, allow you to sign your high level prospects to long-term extensions. They're going to be really, really good. And who knows? They could turn into really solid major league pitchers and they just haven't had the innings yet. So that's another thing to consider because these guys could all break out. And those are going to be our 7. Thank you so much for watching. There's going to be a ton of great out of the park baseball content coming to this channel. I appreciate you guys watching. If there's anyone you think I left out on this list, please comment down below and let me know who your favorite innings eater is. Not like a star pitcher favorite, like this dude just needs to throw 200 innings this year and we'll make it work somehow. But appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe and have a great night.